in the moment, it felt like I was dreaming because my brain, I couldn't comprehend why I felt like I was going down.
And he's got Kellen O'Brien right behind him, ready to take a ball. And the first faller.
Ever wonder what it's like to be an athlete on the world's biggest stage? And what really goes on inside the village? Let's find out.
Legends with Bevo. The road to Tokyo. Thanks to Anytime Fitness Glenelg. Renelec Electrical Services.
Alex Porter, welcome to Legends with Bevo, the road to Tokyo. Great to have you on for a chat now. Obviously, you're a part of the world record-winning men's team pursuit team. We'll get to that in a moment because obviously a few years ago you broke an amazing world record. But the Tokyo Olympics, mate, didn't quite go to plan. The 4,000 metre race, 1 kilometre into it, and things sort of took a turn for the worst.
Ready to take a ball. And the first faller.
I think that might have been an equipment failure.
And you see the replay here. The handlebars just completely detached and there's nothing that he can do.
You'd expect to see that happen out of the starting gate. That's the moment of maximum torque.
Wow. Looked like a painful visit to the boards as well.
Well, skinning of the nose. I think his nose actually hit.
Yeah, we had a good couple of years leading into the games. We were all really motivated. And then, going into lap 4, all of a sudden, I just got off the front, was sitting at the back of the group, and then all of a sudden, I felt my arms pointing down. I saw the track getting closer to my face, and then next thing I knew, my handlebars had just clean snapped off my bike, and I went face first into the velodrome at about 65k an hour.
So when the accident happened, like obviously everyone around Australia and everyone around the world, no doubt your family, your missus were all sort of freaking out, thinking, "Gee, is Alex okay?" Were you able to call your girlfriend and your family straight away, or what was the situation there?
Yeah, I was able to, after the second ride, and I'd come in, taken all my kit off, and I guess kind of decompress a little bit. I went and called my girlfriend. My coach told me to go call my family because she'd texted his wife to call him to tell me that I needed to call my family. So, because in my head, I'd stood up, I was fine. But they were all pretty worried, and it was nice to be able to talk to them, and I guess they were to be able to talk me through what had happened and say how proud they were of me, the fact that I was able to get back up, because at the time I was just doing what I knew, so it seemed pretty normal. So to say, like, the words they were giving me were like, no matter what happened, how I'd handled myself, they were more proud of me than if I'd come home with a gold medal. So to be able to hear that from them, especially in that moment, it helped process a lot of the emotions that I was feeling at that point in time.
And I spoke about this before. Obviously, you're looking at $1 million, mate. Like, you could be in a magazine as a model. But is there any scars and things like that have come from the accident? Like, your face is fine, but on your arms or legs?
Yeah, not too bad. I've got some abrasions down the center of my legs and a pretty deep cut on my left one, and then so I took a fair bit of skin off my arm here. So the burn was probably the length of my forearm, and it's almost back to normal now. It's just a different color, so hopefully I don't have a big aggressive scar on my arm for the rest of my life, but I feel like that's going to happen. But it's actually come up really well. It probably took, I reckon, about 2 weeks before I could touch it normally and leave it out to just in the air, but I've still got to put sunscreen on it because it's still really sensitive. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Are you able to do weights and stuff with it now? Does it still hurt too much?
Yeah, no, it's all fine now. I've walked into a door and hit it on that, and it survived that. So I feel like it's pretty good. But that was definitely the worst. That hurt a lot more than the face because it was a pretty deep burn. Like when I had a shower first time after and had to clean it, people could hear me yelling from down the hallway. And it probably took me, it wasn't until about 3 or 4 nights after that I was able to get a good night's sleep because I could just feel it throbbing and burning throughout the night. So considering all that, I've pulled up surprisingly well. Like it shocked me. I didn't think I'd be healed this quick or this. I thought my face was gone forever. I remember thinking after I'd gone to the bathroom and got changed and was about to leave, and it was the first time I had a good look at my face, I went, I'm glad I've already got a girlfriend.
Oh, what a classic. And did you have to go to hospital or anything and get all fixed up, or?
No, we didn't. So lucky enough, we had a team doctor and he was able to look after me. There was a potential that I was maybe going to have to get stitches on the inside of my thigh from where we think when I went over the handlebars, I must have sort of nicked the end of the head stem, which was still attached to my bike, which had snapped off. But we were able to just use some sort of butterfly strips and it was able to hold together enough that I wasn't going to have to need stitches on that. So yeah, thankfully I didn't need to go to hospital. The medical team And yeah, our team doctor did an amazing job to have me back to normal.
We've all sort of been in that situation where you get really badly sunburned, and there's nothing worse than having a hot shower and, you know, whether you sort of get sunburned on your back or your arms, wherever it might be, and that first shower that you have, and it absolutely kills. But I can just imagine, you know, what happened to you would be, you know, 10 times worse than that. So it would have been horrific.
It's horrible. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah. You know, when the actual handlebars started, you know, breaking off, did you notice anything at the start of the race? You know, when you took off, did you sort of feel anything sort of unusual or start hearing things or?
No, nothing at all. It was completely normal. Like when it happened in the moment, it felt like I was dreaming because my brain, I couldn't comprehend why I felt like I was going down because I did my start, all was well. Even as I was going along, I was pulling on my bar so much, like I lifted my front wheel off the ground and it managed that fine, got through everything. And then literally all of a sudden, I just felt my arms just start pointing down. And it wasn't until I was about a split second away from hitting the track that I realized what had happened because my brain just couldn't work out what was going on because there was nothing to give the indication that something was wrong with my bike.
Geez, so have they done an investigation into it? And, you know, is the bike company at fault or what's the situation?
So they're still looking into it. We've now sent the handlebars back to them because we couldn't get them back because we were in quarantine. So we couldn't send them off because we weren't allowed to send anything out of quarantine. So they've now sent them back off to the company and they're along with Oz Cycling, and they're going to keep looking into it, and it'll probably take a few weeks to know exactly what happens, but they're in the process of trying to work out exactly what went wrong.
So you had a few scratches and bruises and things like that, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. So considering you're going 65 k's an hour and the handlebars completely collapsed, like could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize that until I saw the video the next day, how bad it could have been. My helmet pretty much cracked straight down the middle, like because it just took all the impact. So to come away without breaking my nose, cheek, losing all my teeth, I actually don't really know how it happened. I must have somehow just fallen in the luckiest way possible that I came out the best solution, which was just losing a lot of skin, which still hurts, but not as much as broken bones.
Would that would be your worst stack to date? Because obviously, being a cyclist, you hear some pretty big stacks. Would that be your biggest one so far?
I'd have one more bigger than that. I had one 2018 where I crashed on the track again and I broke 6 ribs, punctured a lung, did my collarbone and a vertebrae.
Oh, gee whiz.
I didn't get up from that one.
That is nasty.
Yeah.
And it just shows, you know, how amazing it is, the story behind this, because you came up, not only did you go through all those injuries and stuff like that, but you bounced back in perfect style because you actually finished bronze with the team. So yeah, talk to us through getting back on the bike again and finishing bronze, because that's just an amazing achievement.
Yeah, it was pretty special. So yeah, as soon as it happened, I got back up. I knew we were going to be able to ride again for the qualifying ride. So for some reason, there was just something in my brain that went, I've still got to ride again. So there's no point worrying about it. So I was just sat down with my coach. He came up and asked if I was good to go. And I said to him, it's the Olympic Games. You know, if there's ever a chance, if you're ever going to get back on the bike, it's right now. Let's go.
What a legend.
So we got up, did the qualifying, and then we were there for gold. So to not get in the gold ride was pretty disheartening for the team. But we were able to all regroup and just get together and know everything we'd been through for the last 5 or 6 years. We wanted to make sure we were going to come away with something. So then from that point on, it was just do everything to the best of our ability to make sure we can turn this around and still come home with a medal.
And in my opinion, and probably the rest of Australia and the world thinks that as well, bronze is as good as a gold medal considering what you went through, and that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, well and truly. It's I never thought I'd be so happy with a bronze medal.
And when you actually got back on the bike again, you know, to be in the qualifiers for the bronze, was there must have been a few nerves there? Did you double check the bike and make sure the handbars are okay and stuff?
Yeah, it was weird. I think I was just so caught up in the moment. I didn't actually think about if my bike was going to break again until someone asked me the next day, was I worried my bike was going to break again? It didn't occur to me for like 24 hours that it could have happened again, because I was just so focused on doing my job and making sure that I needed to do what I could do to help the other boys in their role in the race, that it didn't even occur to me if my bike was going to be okay. I just went, I'm on a new bike. I can ride. I'm missing skin, but it'll grow back. Let's just go out there again. What
an attitude. That's phenomenal, mate. Well done to you, and well done to the team as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Bronze is an amazing achievement, and you should be super proud. I know gold was obviously what you wanted, and understandably, but I think, yeah, definitely based on the circumstances that you went through, yeah, and no doubt you're all very young anyway, so I'm sure you'll get gold in Paris,
Yeah, for sure.
or going forward as well. And before we talk about Tokyo 2020, a couple of years ago, I did mention at the start of the show, you guys broke a world record that was in the World Championships, and you smashed a world record actually. Tell us, through that sort of achievement and the feeling knowing that you'd broken a world record and done Australia so proud and the world so proud.
Yeah, it's a surreal feeling to not even, like, we were aiming to win gold at that Worlds, and to go to a Worlds, win a gold medal and break a world record is something, it's a feeling I'll never forget. When you start off as an athlete, you always strive to be the best, and to not only be able to win a world title and, at that time be the best in the world, but to be able to have been the fastest just in the entire history of the sport is a really unreal feeling. Like, it took us all months to get over it. We'd just be out riding on the road and someone would just have a moment to be like, oh, there's only 4 people in the world that have ever gone that fast. So just to have that sort of feeling, it's a really cool feeling, and something that I'll definitely remember and cherish for the rest of my career and life. It makes a bond with the guys. Like, we've been training day in, day out for 4 or 5 years now. So to be able to have moments like that along the way, because we all know everything all of us have gone through on and off the bike through this whole journey, it brings the team so close together, and it's definitely something we'll all cherish when we get together, down the track when everyone's gone their separate ways.
And Tokyo 2020, obviously it was an Olympics like no other, and your first one. Talk to us through the experience of it, and what was it like being in the Olympic Village for the very first time? Obviously a little bit different in that you couldn't associate with the other athletes like previous Olympics, from other people I've heard from in the past. But yeah, tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely, we'd been told going into it, it's not going to be like any Olympics that's been in the past. Don't expect, the big crowds, you're interacting with everyone and stuff. But it was, I think from being at the velodrome anyway, everyone who was there was just so happy it was on. There was still this just amazing atmosphere from crowd. Like, we were able to have a small crowd at the cycling, the other countries, just the organizers, everyone in the velodrome was just so happy that we were there competing, that it felt bigger than any other competition I'd been to. Still, it wasn't like you're out there racing and you can hear the crickets in the background. There was still this massive hype around it. So I think just everyone having gone through what every single person all has their own story on how they'd gotten to that point with the delay and everything. Everyone was just so happy to be there that the event was still an amazing experience.
And also finding out for the very first time that you were going to be competing at Tokyo 2020. What was that feeling like when you got the phone call, and who were the first people that you told?
Definitely mum and dad. Called mum and dad straight away. They've been through a lot to help get me here, so they were definitely the first call. But it was an unreal feeling. I'd been dreaming about that day for years, and to finally, in the lead up to it, I was pretty confident I was going to get selected, but there's still always that part of your brain that, isn't quite sure. So to have that confirmation that I'd made the team and all the years of work that I'd put in were, had been ticking off, and I was leading to this ultimate dream was a very special feeling, and one I was glad I could share with friends and family.
And how'd you deal with the postponement? Or I suppose it was inevitable, with the pandemic. But as a young buck, how'd you sort of deal with it?
Yeah, at first it was tough. We all got together the night it was postponed and just all hung out together and had dinner and stuff. But it was for the first, I reckon, a couple of weeks it was tough, just because we'd had a big build up leading into it, and we were all really excited. It was, the hype was starting to get there. So the first month or two was a little bit of, I guess, even from everyone just was kind of in a bit of, what do we do? Like, what do we do now? We've got 16 months or so. So, but yeah, we all just stayed together, kept training. We were allowed to you could go mountain biking, do some different kinds of training for a period, but it really just gave us all that extra motivation. We knew we had an extra year to train, an extra year to go and ride the times that we were hoping to ride at Tokyo. So it actually, after that initial shock of what's just happened, everyone actually just banded together even stronger, and we leaned on each other a lot more to get through any of the tough days, and just know we had a chance to help get our bodies in an even better state than what they were going to be if the games were held when they were meant to.
When you look back on it, do you sort of get the feeling like it was just one of the most amazing events ever being involved in it?
Yeah, definitely. To look back on it and to see the size of it and how big it is, all the moving parts, to actually be able to experience that up close and personal, and then look back and think how they managed to pull it off. We were talking when we were leaving Howard Springs, we still couldn't believe. We were told, like, whether or not that is exactly accurate, we were told there was like on average one case a day, which we thought was ridiculous. There was only one.
Yeah.
Like, there was so many people there. So for what the Japanese government did to be able to have that many people in all these different locations and not have the virus go everywhere is a huge credit to them, because to actually see what they had to go through to get it across the line, it's unbelievable they were able to do it.
And inside the Olympic Village, was there an Olympic crush that, like, someone where you thought, oh, she's a bit of a hottie, another athlete from within Australia or one of the other countries?
I didn't actually have an Olympic crush. I was too focused on the job.
And were you able to get selfies with any of the other athletes, or were you sort of restricted within the Australian?
We were just with the Australian team, so I pretty much spent majority of the time just with our own cycling cohort.
Yes.
Which, it would have been cool. I'm a big basketball fan, so I would have loved to have been able to. Before this all happened, that was a dream of mine, was to go watch the US team and the Boomers play. So I would have loved that. But at the end of the day, I was just glad it went ahead. So.
Yeah, and hopefully down the track at Paris and future Olympics, you'll be able to do that anyway.
Exactly.
So, growing up, what was your Olympics experience like? Was there like an idol that you looked up to, whether it be another cyclist or another athlete?
I don't think I had one individual idol when I was growing up for the Olympics. I just loved watching the spectacle and just seeing how amazing it is. And then, you've got your big ones that I've loved watching guys like Usain Bolt go out and compete, and just to be able to one day think that I could potentially be at the same event as people like that is something that was what I strive for, and what pushed me to get to where I am, to be able to hopefully stand on the top step of the podium, or even even just be on the podium. Because to get to the Olympics and you see the stature of people that compete at there, it's the greatest sporting event, biggest sporting event on the planet. So that in itself was what got me there, just the draw of the actual Olympics and the spectacle that it is.
The opening ceremony, were you sort of involved in that as well? Because obviously I've spoken to Pat Yonker and some other Olympians in the past, and swimmers generally aren't involved because they compete earlier on. Were you able to go to the opening ceremony?
We weren't. So we were actually still in Brisbane at the time of the ceremony. Because we were completing in the last week. I think the day of, or maybe we just got to Tokyo. I remember watching it in bed, because we literally just traveled, because it was, I was competing in the last week. So it was, if we went there to go to the ceremony, you'd then have sort of 12, 14 days of just twiddling your thumbs waiting until you competed. So we weren't over that early for it. And it would have been cool to have been a part of. I was talking to some of the other guys who had been there, but hopefully Paris is all normal and can tick it all off there.
And you were one of those ones the unlucky ones that had to quarantine for 14 days in Howard Springs. For someone who's never had to quarantine, and people that are listening or watching out there, what was the experience like? And give us a bit of an understanding. I guess you're doing a Bachelor of Finance at uni outside of you competing with the Olympic Games. So that must have sort of kept you busy at least a little bit. Yeah,
it did. Yeah, the main thing I've taken away from it is try to have as many things to do as possible, because you definitely have days where you're just watching the clock tick by, but it sort of ebbs and flows. The first 4 to 6 days aren't actually that bad. They go pretty quickly. You get into a routine. It was, for me personally, it was nice after the ups and downs of everything, just to have some time, just to not, force time to do nothing. And it's that middle 4 days that's where it gets really tough, because the novelty wears off after about 5 days. And then there's a 5-day period or so where you start getting really bored. But that's where you really need to have stuff to do. Yeah. Because I had days there where the afternoon felt like it went for about 36 hours. And then once you hit the last 3 days, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it goes like that. But overall, for an experience of quarantine, the staff at Howard Springs and the AOC, they were giving us activities and different exercises and things to do all day. So you'd wake up in the morning and you'd get an email with the list of things they were going to do. Like, we had bingo nights, there was a quiz night, We had a toga dance party one night, so there was just they were giving us all this different stuff to do, which definitely helped the 14 days go quickly.
How the heck do you do a toga dance party?
So it was just they would tell everyone to dress up in your bed sheets or your towels, and then you just had to set your laptop up with Zoom, and they had a DJ playing. And
That's amazing.
Zoom, you just threw a Zoom toga party.
And what happens with meals there and stuff? Is it do they sort of provide the meals for you, or do you get Uber Eats? Or
so at Howard Springs, you get every night they bring you. So you get a hot meal for dinner, and then you get breakfast and lunch the next day, and that's your food. You can do a food shop from Coles and an IGA. There's no Uber Eats out there.
Yeah.
So you just kind of pray that the dinners and lunches you get are good. Majority of the time, the dinners were good. Breakfast every now and then was a bit of a hit and miss.
Oh, no.
I personally would have just I reckon they should have just stuck with cereal every day. They tried to spice it up a little bit, and every now and then, I'm a big fan of a brekkie roll, but a brekkie roll that's been sitting in my fridge for overnight, I'll just have a bowl of cereal. But no, overall, the food is actually really good up there. The setup was good, and that you're allowed to do a Coles order, and then they go pick it up for you and bring it back to you, so you can get, if you need more food or you want different kinds of food, you are able to get some stuff in.
That's good, because I'd be thinking the swimmers like your Cole Chalmers and that would be taking all the good food and leaving you with the scraps. Coles, but...
Definitely. You just got to make sure if you do your order, you do it quickly, because sometimes you do an order. I left it about a day, and then it took 4 days for it to rock up because there's that many people trying to order food from the local Coles.
It sounds like you guys had a reasonable deal. Like you mentioned, quarantines are paying the butt at the best of times, but from speaking to you off air, you were talking about people in Brisbane and they're in hotel rooms with no windows, no air. That would just be horrendous for 14 days.
Yeah. So some of the people I've spoken to in Brisbane, it's just a normal hotel room. So, if you can open your window, it's that little crack sort of thing. And you can't. So the best thing I thought about Howard Springs was as long as you wear your mask, you're allowed to go out onto a veranda, which is out the front of your room. So you can still talk to the people next to you. Like we'd do group workouts together and stuff. So you weren't completely isolated, which I think helped a lot. Just that being able to have that human to human contact, like face to face, and actually, we could sit out there and I could talk to my teammates, and that's how we'd kill arvos. We'd just sit out on our decks, just talking absolute nonsense until the sun went down and we could go to bed.
And can you have a couple of beers there as well?
It's a dry zone.
Oh.
So that's the positive about being in Brisbane in a hotel room. It's not a dry zone.
Okay.
So that's the trade-off. You can either have alcohol or you can have fresh air.
I think I'll take the fresh air any day.
So would I.
And where to from now, mate? Obviously, it's a few years away now till Paris, and I suppose that's one of the advantages of the Olympics being postponed, is that it's closer now to the Olympics. But what happens now going forward?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got couple of weeks off now, just to sort of relax, hang out with friends and family. I'd been away for sort of even before the Olympics, about 2 months leading into it. So I'm just nice to be able to come home, decompress, just hang out with people I haven't seen in a long time, and just be able to relax and not have too many stresses. And then we'll get back into training. And the Olympics are only 3 years away now. Com Games is less than a year away from here. So come sort of, I guess, November, we'll get back together as a team with coaching staff and work towards through the next plans from there. But at the moment, I'm not thinking about riding a bike. I'm just relaxing.
Well, before I let you go, I'll have a couple of fun questions to finish off with.
Yep.
Who's one of your funniest teammates within the cycling team, and why?
Lee Howard's pretty funny. He's hilarious a lot of the time because he says stuff he doesn't know is funny. To him, it's just a normal comment or something he shouldn't have said, which we all find hilarious.
Yep.
And also him being the elder statesman of the team, he's, I think, 7 years older than me. It's also fun just to drop a few words and phrases that we find from videos on Instagram that he has no idea what you're talking about. So you can have a full conversation with him and he just doesn't understand half of it.
I feel for him though, because I got the same thing with some of my younger mates as well. Smart asses. So the TikTok thing and stuff, he probably wouldn't have a clue what that's.
No, he has no idea. No idea. He does watch some of them, but every now and then. And then he'll have a moment where he'll send you something and it's hilarious, but also I don't think it's as funny as he thinks it. And then we'll send him videos that we find hilarious. And you can tell he's looking at him just thinking we're absolute idiots.
That's brilliant. And finally, the question that stumps a lot of people, 3 famous people, alive or dead, who you'd love to have dinner with, Alex?
LeBron James would be one. Big fan. Michael Barlow is a second. And my third, this is a tough question because I don't want to pick someone as well that I'm also just worried I wouldn't be able to have a conversation with because I just freak out. And I think I've already named 2 people that are on that list. I'd have to know that, like, I'll probably Gary Ablett. Junior or senior, either.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I agree with all 3 of those.
Yeah,
you've done well. And post your cycling career, you're a bit of a gun in the media. I've obviously heard your interviews, on the radio and also on TV, and today you're absolutely nailing it. Is there a career in media going forward as an expert commentator, or you want to take things further with your study? What's the plans?
Definitely keep going on with the study. I'm very interested in like finance world and stock market and stuff. But yeah, definitely I enjoy talking to people, and it's easy to have conversations, especially when it's about yourself. But I'd love to be able to have potentially look at having a job in the media. I enjoy talking to people and love sharing insights and knowledge into different things that I've experienced in my life. So that'd definitely be something that I'd like to pursue. But I'll definitely keep going on with the finance because I find that just very interesting.
Well, Alex Porter, it's been an absolute blast having you on Legends with Bevo. Well done again on that bronze and recovering from what was a terrible accident and looking at $1 million today that you are. It's amazing. I can't believe it. So thanks for your time, mate, and look forward to chatting again in the future.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much for having me.